So is this your first time in the Waymo?
In the Waymo, yes. I've been other cars in the test mode, but never in the Waymo in the actual traffic. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You can kind of see what's going on here. We just passed the car and showing up on our screen here. So, I'd love to know sort of kind of where you got the itch to begin working on AI. You're one of ASU's most well-known and internationally recognized AI specialists, and we'll get into the details. But like, where did it begin?
Well, I mean, it's obviously began in my undergrad, and the way I say it to my students is like there are only really three main things left for us to think about: origin of universe, origin of life, and nature of intelligence. So trying to work on AI to get a sense of where we get intelligence was always,
So before you were an undergraduate, seriously, did you just kind of walk into a class one day and the light bulb went off? Or was there something else in your background that, was particularly...
It was a lot more during the undergrad. I started doing speech recognition research and so on. And as part of that, it became that you don't just recognize the signals, you do a lot more understanding and, connect everything together. And so AI was sort of the, natural step. And, I joke around that at that time, it was not anywhere near the way it has caught the public imagination now.
Yeah, we'll talk about sort of what has happened. We were just teasing, you a little bit because, all of a sudden, like everyone in the world wants to talk to you. And I certainly know.
They're also doing AI right now. Everybody is doing AI, and they used to feel sorry that I was doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I'd love to, ask you a little bit about kind of your actual research area, if you don't mind, kind of. This year when you start classes, what are some of the research areas that you've been working on that you'll be sharing with some of your students?
One of my main research areas is actually, given these kinds of AI systems, including the autonomous driving cars, the large language models, and how do humans interact with AI systems? And we tend to interact with each other essentially in symbolic modes by actually language. We take advice from each other. We provide explanations to each other in these modes. Current AI systems still tend to be requiring us to do the heavy lifting in terms of understanding what's going on in their internals if there's something goes wrong, and if they have to give us an explanation, we need to make sense of what went wrong by looking into the internals.
Is that prompting? Is that the prompt engineering piece of it?
It's not just the prompting part. Even in terms of like if something goes, if Waymo does something wrong that you didn't expect, it doesn't have the capability to provide yet the right kind of explanations that we would expect if it was a human driver, right? I mean, if there is like, for example, the car is stuck somewhere, etc., human drivers can provide a context sensitive explanation that makes sense to you, as against saying, for example, a particular valve in the 15th row of the engine block has malfunction. That doesn't necessarily help the passengers, for example. So we are very much interested in providing these sorts of explanations, as well as taking advice from humans in the symbolic modes.
So the other piece, I'm sure, has got something to do with large language models.
Indeed, yeah. So the large language models have actually two very interesting aspects. One, of course, is in terms of as a teacher, it changes, what you check for. It's always been hard to figure out whether people are reasoning from first principles or actually Googling the answer. And now Googling the answer becomes even simpler because you can ask the language model. And so we always used to hope that the form of the answer has something to do with the content. That aspect is gone right now. Everybody writes, every thing is written well because essentially ChatGPT or something will produce this. So that actually is an interesting challenge as to how to check whether people understood the answer that they're actually giving, and so that's one interesting challenge that
really interesting
challenge. I mean, I have always used these true false questions with justification. So it's not enough that you're right, you have to provide a justification as to why you think it's the correct answer, and I care more about the justification. It takes longer to read the justification, and yet that's what tells you whether they understood. The other aspect from a research perspective is AI as a whole has become very much more, it started with us telling the machines what to do.
Right.
So this is how like the chess systems, the Deep Blue,
Sure.
etc. work. Then it became a lot more data driven in the sense everything is learned from our digital traces. Large language models, for example, are that. But having done that, now large language models have become like an approximate repository of knowledge.
Yeah.
And which actually means that what used to be called knowledge-based AI systems is having a resurgence, except instead of asking a single human, you are now asking this large language model that has been trained on the digital traces of entire humanity.
Right.
And it's a funny thing because asking one person, you would say that's a bottleneck, but taking it from the entire universe of knowledge that we have left on the web seems doable because it's actually done once, and
Right.
so it becomes a relevant way to do knowledge-based AI systems, and that actually is going to change the nature of research. I just came back from ICML where I gave a talk on this, basically this resurgence of knowledge-based systems because of this approximate omniscience.
Yeah.
Of LLM.
I want to ask you two more questions before our time is up today. One is around kind of how your profession is thinking about ethics.
Yeah. So actually, this is actually a very relevant question because, as I was saying earlier, in the old days, the AI systems used to be told what to do, and now they mostly learn what to do from the data. And this data is the entire data on the web that we did not necessarily carefully curate. What that means is that it actually very much all our stereotypes, all our biases, etc. are part of this data.
Yeah, right.
And that has been causing a lot of problems in terms of it has both the pearls of wisdom as well as the true dregs of our thinking in the 4chan mode sorts of things. And how do you get the systems to actually separate the wheat from the chaff becomes hard. And so one of the research areas, and there are two issues. One, of course, is be careful about knowledge, the data curation, and also kind of try to do these sort of things like RLHF, which where basically you try to align the model's answers closer to what what humans would like to hear.
Right.
But in the end, really what you want to be able to do is, again, have the machines have the ability to look at higher level symbolic advice. It's not that we don't have bad thoughts. We know that societal structures tell us that there are times in which you can express what sorts of things. And so these are symbolic rules, and the machine should have the ability to handle them. That's going to be a big research direction. Currently, we are doing it in a very slow fashion by this, training.
Another quick question for you. What do you think is likely to be the way in which we choose to regulate or not regulate all of the AI activities that are underway? What's, from a scientist perspective, what's your take?
I think there is basically, in the short term, certainly there is need for governmental regulation, in my view, and there's been good steps being taken by Biden administration in particular as to basically who is in charge if the machine's decisions cause harm, either psychological harm or material harm. Currently, the private companies left to themselves would say we will take the profits but not necessarily the downside.
Right.
And in a way they are actually hoping that the digital rights will kind of protect them. But here the machines are making decisions that will affect you. And so I do think that there is significant role for regulation now. But as time goes on, again, I think that the machines will also you have the ability to provide to them higher level constraints on their reasoning, and they will be able to follow those. Until then, you do need to hold the companies responsible because the machine is obviously not responsible. So,
Rahul, thanks for spending some time with us. It's great to see you.